Good day, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Fayette Focus. Harry Wright with you today. My guests from the Fayette County Historical Society. We've got Bev Mullens. Bev, how are you today?
Good, Harry. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Are you feeling all excited?
Well, yeah, because May's rolling around. That means the museum's going to start to be open.
Well, yeah, that. And that's good. That's good, but that Pinewood Derby.
Oh, yeah. Well, because you're opening up
The one I'm going to win, that you're attending, but I'm going to win.
She's delusional, folks. She really is. I think the RF radiation at the station has finally gotten to poor Bev. No kidding. We have
You're in denial, so...
we have a little throwdown between us. May the 16th.
May the 16th.
Saturday is the day the Cub Scouts are going to be there at the museum, and they're bringing their Pinewood Derby right there. So, folks, if you've never seen it before, you take a block of pine and you make a car out of it, and
you make a vehicle. I don't know that a lot of them can be called cars, but they're vehicles.
You know, what's great is you have two controlling factors as a designer of these vehicles, if you will. They are aerodynamics and how much it weighs. That's basically, there's rules about how far the wheels have to be apart, and there's all these other rules. But the thing of it is, the most aerodynamic car with the right weight put in the right place is usually your winner. And that's the tough thing to figure out. And it's really great for the young boys in Cub Scouts because they learn a little bit about physics.
And you get to use their imaginations in designing the vehicles.
Not just in
I
shape.
appreciate you telling the audience how my car's been built. That's why it will win. So,
well, actually,
we're talking about the museum here.
Well, now, actually, we want to acknowledge the mystery car that you're entering, because at the community health fair, when the cars were supposed to be on the display, your car and Jack DeWeese's car were somehow mysteriously missing. Now, Harry Wright's car was right there at the Sheriff's Department's table, and quite frankly, looks pretty fast. That car looks
looking and actually
pretty fast. And that's the great thing about this. Bev hit a good point. You know, it looks fast, but is it? You never know until you put it on the track.
This is my first time ever.
So we've got a downhill slope, and then it flattens out, folks. And I don't know how long it is. I can't remember the length, but usually, it's when the car hits down from the downhill and hits the flat. That's usually when things happen.
I tell you what, if you've never been, you need to come, because I've never been, but my excitement level is so high, only because I know I'm going to beat Harry, but my excitement level is so high, and there are other adults in this community just as goofy as we are about having a vehicle in this race. I think it's just going to be a good Sunday for Scouts.
Yeah, it is, and not only that, it's a nice Saturday. You know, May 16th is a nice one. But not only that, but you're kind of opening up the museum this year in May, as usual, with the Scouting on the Mind.
Yes. We open May 2nd for the 2015 season, and the whole month of May is geared towards scouting exhibits. So it's going to be a good month anyway. There'll be Glenn Rankin, who is a board member for the museum, but also the unofficial historian for scouting in Fayette County is in charge of this exhibit. So he's going to bring a lot of his memorabilia, badges and patches and uniforms and handbooks that go back to 1911. And
Scouting's a big part of Fayette County.
It is. In 1911, the first 3 troops were formed. One in Jeffersonville, two in Courthouse. It's just awesome, and here we are today. It's just a good thing. I remember when my brother was in Scouts, and it was just a good thing. I remember when my son was in Scouts, and I was a den mother. It's just a good thing. It's a good character-building activity for boys.
It is.
And it is for girls, too.
And Cub Scouts, with the Pinewood Derby, it kind of lets you use your imagination, and it lets you use your common sense engineering skills, and you get the paint jobs are some of the things that I love to see, because these youngsters get so creative. And it is good to display them, because the museum is not just for things from our long past, but it's things that you can say, here's our present.
Well, but Harry, 100 years from now, it will be the past, and people can look at those cars and say, I've got a picture of my great-grandfather doing this, and it's so, every day we're making history. I know somebody else has said that, but it's true.
Yep.
Every day we're making history. We cannot discount what happens today.
Now, we've got, of course, the museum. We're talking about opening up. Tell us what the hours are going to be.
The hours, as always, it's every Saturday and Sunday, 1 until 4 p.m. If we are not open because it's a holiday or whatever, it will be on the radio, website, and it will be in the newspaper. So
there you go, folks. So it's the Fayette County Museum. It's I was born here, so it's part of my heritage. It's part of my history. And folks, if you haven't never been to the museum, admission is free. Just go to the museum and see what makes Fayette County Fayette County. It's all right there.
it's true. It's true. And admission is free, although we do always accept donations. We always have membership cards available. But it's with all of the refurbishing that's been done to the windows. I was telling Harry before we went on the air, I'm so excited for him to come and see. I mean, you can drive by and see the new windows, but you can't really see how great they look unless you walk into the building or around the building. And we want everybody to come and visit us all summer long, but particularly in May, we want people to come and enjoy the scouting, this trip down memory lane with scouting, because there are a lot of people in this community that were Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Now, before I run out of time, I want to tell you about the last day in May, Sunday, May 31st, will go down in the annals of history as Eagle Scout Day and Order of the Arrow Day. There's a troop in Jeffersonville that has had 49 young men become Eagle Scouts.
Wow, what an accomplishment.
And in the entire county, we have 140 Eagle Scouts from this county. I don't know whether that's about 2% of boys who join Scouting end up being Eagle Scouts. So we have had 150. That's pretty awesome. So what we've decided to do as the board for the museum, what we've decided to do is invite all those young men who have become Eagle Scouts to come to the museum on May 31st, somewhere around 3 o'clock, and we just want to get a picture of as many Eagle Scouts as we can get. Everybody who's there will get to take home a free picture of the grouping, but we would like to do that. And then on the Cub Scout side, there's Order of the Arrow. My brother was Order of the Arrow. That is the highest ranking a Cub Scout can achieve, is Order of the Arrow. And so we're asking every young man in this county to come to the museum again, same time, 3 o'clock on the 31st of May, and we will take a group picture of all of the boys that achieved Order of the Arrow. These are not things that you normally achieve as you go through the ranks.
Not easy.
Neither one of them are easy. One, you have to come up with a huge community project. And the other one, you have to be voted on by your peers to join Order of the Arrow. So already there's some outstandingness, if that makes sense what I'm saying. There's some qualities there that you can say, oh my gosh, this person's going to end up being a senator or a president or owns his own company or whatever. There's leadership skills that are starting to form. It is going to be, and I have to tell you what Glenn Rankin said when we were talking about this and we came up with this idea. I said, oh my God, he said, Bev, I cannot believe that we're doing this. I cannot believe that we could possibly have all of these men together at the museum. And he didn't really get choked up. He just sort of was at a loss for words. And he ended up saying, well, I tell you, for an old scout, this is going to be pretty exciting. And I'm thinking, if nothing else, come. Just to see an old scout
Get excited.
be very excited about all these people coming to the museum. So we're just going to keep talking over and over about Eagle Scout and Order of the Arrow Sunday.
Now,
And the Pinewood Derby and...
Those pictures are going to become part of the museum.
Yes, they will be. That'll be part of the history.
So there you go. As soon as that picture...
History's made every day, Harry, right?
That's right, it is. And it's going. So folks, come on out and see what Scouting has to offer. Tour the museum, have some fun. Now, I have to ask this question. When my car wins, it will be part of the museum, won't it?
When my car wins, it will be part of the museum, and if you're the runner-up, I'll make some space for you, yes.
I got a strange feeling that you're going to be seeing your car is going to be seeing the back end of my car for most of the trip. I'm going there. I mean, that's way. But no, folks, it's a lot of fun.
As long as we congratulate the person who really does win the race.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It's all about good fun, and when you're making the car, you're thinking about some of the things that the Cub Scouts, you see their merit badges and all the things that they have to go through. This is just one segment of being a Cub Scout. So when they attend that Order of the Arrow status, they have done a lot of things
Absolutely.
to get that. And of course, Eagle Scouts have done a lot of things to get. You see those sashes on them with all the merit badges.
Yes.
Unbelievable
Awesome.
things that they have accomplished in their life up to that young point in their life.
And then think about that. And they didn't do that on their own. It was a family affair. It pulled the whole family in. One of the things that I want to say that Glenn told me about the Pinewood Derbies is here in Fayette County, if you have a sibling, a sister, if you are a scout and you have a sister, that person, that child, that sister is invited to also participate in the Pinewood Derby because, according to Mr. Rankin, that makes it a family event. It's a family affair. Everybody's working together. There are not a lot of opportunities for some kids to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just family involvement.
Yeah.
Yes.
So bring the whole family to the museum. Starting May 2nd, every Saturday and Sunday through May, we will be open 1 to 4 p.m. and it will be all about scouting, all about family, and all about history.
Well, thank you so much, Bev. My guest today on Fayette Focus has been Bev Mullen from the Fayette County Historical Society. Bev is the spokesperson for the museum, and she does a great job even though her car is going to lose. Thank you, Bev. Everyone, welcome again to another edition of Fayette Focus. Harry Wright with you today. My guest from the Miami-Trace School District. We'll start off with the superintendent himself, Mr. Lewis. How are you today?
Doing well. How you doing, Harry?
We're doing great. You brought quite a cast with you today because we got a levy coming up, and it's very important.
Yeah, we, as you know, we're on the ballot May 5th for the bond issue for a new high school, so I thought I would bring some staff members from the high school with me to talk about it a little bit.
Well, I understand you got Rob Enix, principal at the high school. Mr. Enix, glad to see you here today. Please tell us why, from your perspective of being the principal at the high school, why you think that the high school is in need of repair or replacement.
Well, I think, here, first and foremost, it is about educational opportunity for our kids, and what a new school can afford us. Education looks a lot different now than it did back in 1960s when the current high school opened up. And there's lots of things I could sit here and outline and talk about, but I think probably at the forefront of a lot of our discussion in terms of what a new school would afford us is technology. When you look at trying to provide the technology that our kids need to be educated for, when we talk a lot about college and careers and a global economy, those kinds of things, we need access to, for our kids to be competitive, to have the most up-to-date technology that we can provide. So
I'm glad you mentioned that. Technology is very important now, whether you're going to college or right out into the workplace. And let's face it, after high school, those are your options. You're going to go on and further your education, or you're going to join the workforce. And right now, computers are everywhere in college. Computers are everywhere in the workplace. And the high school there at Miami-Trace just isn't made for all of that technology.
Well, it obviously creates some challenges to us, and we're building. Our technology people do a wonderful job at trying to get us the things that we need. But when you look at our instruction now, our math is all online instruction now, which a lot of schools and colleges are now using. We're spilling into our science departments as well. A lot of technology being used there. So yeah, it's very important. It's only going to get more important. And you throw in that the new challenges of our new online assessments, another area that we believe, online assessments we believe are here to stay. And we've had some challenges when it comes to administering our tests. And not only it's just not necessarily about administering, but administering in a way that students are comfortable and the right environment, because these are high stakes tests. We want the kids to perform the best ability and give them the best chance that we can.
Not only that, but one of the things that people might not even think about at the old high school school, but you just don't have enough electric outlets in the rooms to run all the computer equipment.
Yeah, that's correct. We're starting, in fact, tomorrow we're starting our next final round of online assessments, and we've run into some challenges with just charging the laptops because we're trying to do them in classrooms, a little more comfortable setting, and we've already run into troubles. We know that we can't do that along with run air conditioning to the rooms, so we may have to decide whether we want our laptops charged or we want it to be comfortable in there. So, yeah, those are all some of the challenges that we face.
And I bring that up because you'll hear people say a building is a building and it doesn't affect the education of the children. It's just a building for them to get an education in. But actually, the building does play a big part in the education, because if you're not able to hook up all the technology that you need to get the kids ready to go out into the world and do what they're going to do, then it's a huge impact on their education.
Absolutely, and again, we talked about putting our kids on a level playing field with other schools, and I think that's very important if we're going to be competitive and our kids be competitive as well.
I agree 100% there. Now, we're going to switch over to Rebecca Milstead, because Rebecca wants to talk about one thing that you don't usually think about, because most buildings built today are all handicap accessible, but being built in 1960, that's an issue.
Harry, I love what you said about the building. It is a building where your kids get educated. And in teaching, I firmly believe it's about having great educators, but it also helps to have a great facility. Currently at the Miami Trace High School, we do have some handicap accessibility issues. Now, we do have an elevator for our students in wheelchairs or who are temporarily on crutches that they can use, but it has to be ran by two people, one downstairs to key them in, one upstairs to run the elevator and let them out. That's kind of inconvenient. The elevator is very slow, and it's not really that big. So if you have a child who's in a wheelchair and they have a nurse or an attendant, it can get a little cozy in there. We this winter had someone on crutches, and in order for them to get to another part of the building where there were the home ec classes and the band and music, they had to go out the stadium door on my side of the building, across the stadium, and into the other side of the building, and that includes in the snow and in the rain.
That is a big issue right there, because now the kids got to bundle up to go outside for just a few minutes to get to another part of the school to do their classwork. And, like you said, rain and snow, that's not a good idea.
And at Miami Trace, I'm so proud that we take all children, whether you're an identified child with a disability or whether you're a general ed student, and they're out in the population. We want the kids that are in my class to be in choir and band and in home ec and have access to the entire program that we offer at Miami Trace. It's just a little inconvenient right now.
So I have not seen the plans for the new building, but the new building's design will take care of all of those issues.
Yes, it will. Just like Miami Trace Elementary and Middle School, it will be built, and there will be just conveniences and luxuries compared to what we have right now.
That's true, and especially for the children who are fighting a disability, or like you said, a football player twists his ankle or hurts his knees on crutches for a while. And, that makes an issue. Or it could be a basketball player or a gymnastics participant, or really anything. A student could walk down the hall and twist their ankle and be on crutches for a while, and that would make an issue. I mean, you're already trying to figure out now how to use crutches and carry books, and now you got to go outside to get into another part of the building. So I agree. That's probably a big issue there too. We're going to talk with Mr. Owens now, Richard Owens, and Mr. Owens is a teacher at the Miami Trace, and you experience you have some experience with the modular system out there, don't you?
Yes, the Social Studies Department and the Foreign Language Departments are in the modulars in the front of the high school. Those have been there a number of years now, and have been a great help to us, but they're obviously starting to show lots of signs of wear. They're not really designed to be a long-term solution to building needs. We have, when students come out to the modulars, they have to run through the rain and the snow and that kind of thing, and of course if you have students with significant limitations, that's a problem. Also, they can't be connected to the building because of meeting building code requirements. Somebody might ask why they haven't been, but they can't be. Also, the building has we use a lot of technology in the area I teach in social studies. I teach government. And so having a good access to computers is really essential to what we do. There's so many good sources, not only of information, but of understanding for the students to tap into. And increasingly, that's becoming obviously a really important part of helping train students for citizenship in the future world.
That is true. Like I said, you're going to leave high school, you're either going to go into college for your education, or you're going to go out and become a productive citizen of our country and join into the ranks of those of us that get up and go to work every day. And either way, you've got to be ready, and technology increasingly in every aspect of everything. Just try to change the oil on your car, folks, and see if technology isn't an issue for you. I mean, it has become increasingly harder to do everything because it's all hooked in with computers and everything else. And right now, the way the electric system is, I mean, that's one thing that really sticks out in my mind about the high school is everything that technology-driven is driven off of electricity. And you just don't have the source for that. It's a shame when you have to decide whether or not you're going to recharge computers or use the air conditioner. I mean, you have to make a choice like that, and it is. And folks, the other buildings are good to go for a long time, and if you get the high school taken care of, it's good to go for a long time. And I know that Rebecca Milstead earlier used the word luxury, but I am sure that luxury is going to be the fact that you're going to be able to have all the things that you need to teach. I don't think we're going to have diamond-studded chandeliers hanging from the hallways, and maybe in Mr. Lewis's office, but he's going to have to buy that himself out of his own personal finances.
Gary, if I could just add something to what Richard...
Go ahead, pull the mic over there and add anything.
If I could add anything to what Rebecca and Richard have said here, to think about school safety and the fact that we have students going in and out of all these different doors to go to their classes. That's a safety concern as well. Those doors have to be unlocked throughout the school day, and there's not one point of access for everybody in our building. So that's a safety concern as well. In our newer buildings like the elementary and the middle school, there's one point of access. When anyone comes into the building, they go into a security vestibule which directs them right into the main office. So it's a safety concern as well.
Well, you're right, because when the children are outside, they can come in contact with them, and you do your best to try to keep the people off the campus who don't belong there, but we all know that, people can, if they're going to sneak around, they can sneak around, and so it is nice to have the kids in a safe environment where, no one's going to be around them that shouldn't. Anything else anybody would like to add to our listeners? I'm not seeing any, so I do want to go right ahead, Mr. Owens.
I was going to say we certainly hope the community will support this. It was interesting in my class a few weeks ago we were talking about this, and I told them that my father had voted for the levy the last time, and they said, well, how old is he? And I said, well, he's 95. He was on the original Miami Trace board when this building was built, and he's ready to vote again for it. And they were kind of amazed. They said, well, why would somebody that's 95 want to vote for it? And I said, well, the people in Miami Trace are concerned about the future and not just themselves.
That's it. And, we were talking, Rebecca Milstead and I were talking off the air, and so many times issues come up in my lifetime where the generation that is basically running things has said, we won't deal with that now, we'll leave it for later. Well, generations learn from previous generations. Well, if they didn't have to deal with it, then we're not going to have to deal with it either. And sometimes it's just really nice for the people who are in power, the voters, and the people who are working and making things happen in our community. It's time for them just to say, enough is enough. It's time now to stop and let's take care of this so our generations in the future can worry about other problems and not have to worry about this problem here.
Harry, I've been fortunate enough to be with Miami Trace for a very long time, and I had the opportunity to work in the Miami Trace Elementary when it was new, brand new, 7 years ago. There were so many things in my classroom that I could do technology-wise and facility-wise. Lots of electricity, lots of technology that worked most of the time. And then I had an opportunity to go to the Miami Trace High School, which I did very willingly. But I do face a lot of classroom challenges in the older building that I did not have to face at the newer building. And, will it change the people at Miami Trace? No, you still have great teachers who do a great job, but certainly a new facility makes our job so much easier. And you're right, it's not luxurious, but it is practical, and it is necessary, and it's what we need right now to put the Miami Trace kids on a level playing field with anyone in any county in Ohio.
Now, folks, I have no dog in this hunt because I do not live in the Miami Trace School District, so whether you pass the levy or not does not affect me financially, but I will tell you this. 7 years ago, when they wanted to get the new elementary and the new junior high built, they said, you pass the levy and get the schools for us, and we will teach the children well, and the scores, and you held up your end of the bargain because the new schools were built and the scores went through the roof, and Miami Trace is an excellent school district to get an education at. And so I can tell you this, most of the times you will hear people in an election say, if you do this, we'll do this, and most of the times it doesn't happen. But I tell you, the people at Miami Trace School District were held up to their word the last time, and they said, build us the schools, and we will improve the education that's out there, and that's exactly what happened. It's a fine place to get an education, and you're right, it's the teachers that made it that way, but it's the buildings that gave the teachers the opportunity to proceed with that. I want to thank everyone for coming in today. I know you took time out of your busy day to be my guest here on FAA Focus. I want to thank Rob Enix, Rebecca Milstead, Richard Owens, and of course Dave Lewis, Superintendent of Schools, for coming in. And folks, that election's coming up May 5th. I encourage you to vote. Thank you very much.